guys, welcome to this week's episode of Stream Squad. If it's your first time tuning in, I am Angela.
Yes, we have a whole bunch of people. Sorry.
Everybody's here.
Everybody.
I'm Jimmy.
And I'm Ernesto.
Yeah.
Ernesto, speaking of, that's like our first little bit of
Hey, man.
Hey.
welcome, right?
Welcome.
Everybody.
Welcome to the party.
If you saw the description here, you'll know that, we are bringing on a new team member here, Ernesto, who has been here since the beginning, really. He's been just having another day job, so we're happy to have you in here. Introduce yourself, Ernesto.
Welcome.
Hi. So I'm Ernesto Ramos. I'm a software developer for Switcher Studio. I've been actually here since the beginning. I've just in the shadows, lurking in the shadows.
Lurking.
Right.
He's scary.
Yeah, but I'm glad to finally be part of the team full time, and hopefully we'll start seeing a lot of great stuff from us, moving forward, as always.
I'm excited for just having more emphasis that we can put toward development and being able to add features to the dashboard, and just everything's happening now. We're going to be able to do things a lot more quickly and swiftly, and we're going to be lighter on our feet, so we're going to be able to make moves whenever we need to. I'm really pumped about
Absolutely.
Make moves. I know one of our other pieces that will be
moves.
Yeah, one of the things we're going to be talking about today is that Facebook where something went down. Ernesto's normally the guy who can come in and help make those things work again.
Yes,
so
this is your savior right here.
Yeah.
If, you've ever
That's
had
the
an
man
issue
right there.
streaming due to
Right
Facebook
there.
changes, this guy's the one who's helped.
I mean, we do have Jeremiah who's behind the scenes right now. He's actually watching in here, or watching our stream.
Shout out to Jeremiah.
Yeah, shout out to Jeremiah in the crowd and in the comments.
That's right.
But yeah, he is also helping out a lot with that kind of stuff. So thank you to those guys, and Ernesto, welcome. Super happy to have you around here. Yeah, so that's really our first piece of industry news, right?
Yeah.
That's industry news. It counts. I know we've got a jam-packed, really full episode with lots of stuff. So, Angela, I'm going to go ahead and let you hop right into it.
Yeah, so the first thing we're going to talk about today, we mentioned this on last week's broadcast, that there was a big conference called F8 out in California. Ernesto was actually at F8, so he's just going to talk to you guys a little bit about his experience and what all happened there.
Sure. So a little bit about F8, for those of you who may not know what it is. It's a developers conference for Facebook. So, and what that means is anyone that uses Facebook for their apps or games or business typically will attend or try to attend this conference. It's kind of a little bit difficult to get into because the sheer amount of people that want to attend. So you kind of apply to attend and you get invited. So it was a great experience for us to actually get to be there and talk to all these different developers and also attend the different keynotes. Mark Zuckerberg himself was at the main keynote, so it was cool to actually see him live.
You got to sit in there for that?
Yeah,
that's cool.
So it was neat to actually see him live. He exists, really.
He's a real person.
Right. He's a real person. So that was really cool. A lot of the keynote kind of centered around, privacy issues, of course, with Facebook, and so they kind of made an emphasis on that. But also they had a lot of great announcements too. So for app developers, they finally are allowing app reviews again. So if you're a developer and you have an app that you want to launch on Facebook, it's now available for you to get. You can put in your application and actually get your app approved. If you want to add more features or changes to your app, you can get those approved finally again. So that was a big takeaway. They also announced the new Oculus Go VR headset. That was really cool, and everyone at the conference got one. So that we've been able to play around with that.
Yeah, we've been messing around a lot with that.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
The first time I used one ever was the other day. I was like, whoa, this is cool. That was neat.
Yeah.
So, did you get a sense that they're it sounds like they're kind of lifting a lot of they locked it down,
Oh, yeah.
obviously. So it seems like now after like we can all breathe in, and it's like everything's not as crazy as it was in that time when there was that big revelation.
Yeah, when the whole Cambridge Analytica thing came out, they locked everything down, and they broke, a lot of things got broken in the process because they're trying to protect your privacy, and that was their primary concern. That's still their primary concern right now. So as they've had a chance to analyze what happened and how people got access to that data, they've been slowly lifting, some of the restrictions. And the big one was, just the ability to actually get your app approved. Like they had locked it down to the point where no new apps could be added to Facebook. So it's great to see that that's available now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Good times.
That's an awesome recap, and yeah, I was kind of jealous that I couldn't get to go, but yeah, it seemed like you and our VP of Sales was also out there, Mark. So yeah, made some good connections.
Did you say cross-posting to for live video? Was that announced at F8?
I don't think that was announced at F8, and technically, so it's been in beta for just I think only a few weeks now.
Yeah. Okay.
And now it's official. You can cross-post via.
Yeah, we're kind of doing it secretly right now, right? We have like a testing page. We're just seeing how it goes. But not to steal your thunder, but Angela has some comments specifically about how cross-posting is going to work for you. And if you want to know more about it, then listen up.
Yeah, so, as Ernesto and Jimmy mentioned, it is a new feature that's coming out. And if you guys haven't heard about it, what it is the ability to post to multiple pages at the same time for your live video. So typically what you've had to do is select one page, whatever you would think of as the main page, and go live to that. And then as you're live or afterwards, just for the replay, you've got to share that out to other pages, at a time. And so this is allowing you to select all of your pages from the get-go, go live at the same time. The advantage is the individual followers of each page are going to get that notification, which you wouldn't normally receive by sharing it, and makes you a lot easier because you're not scrambling at the start of a broadcast, or whoever's behind the scenes isn't scrambling to get it shared out everywhere. So it's a lot easier. All of them retain their own organic comments, so it's just a great thing that's being added. Right now it is kind of at the tail end of beta, but it is rolling out to people. They're also rolling out something called a Facebook Rewind, and this is something, if you guys are familiar with YouTube, it's already been on YouTube before, where when you go in for a live video, you don't have to only watch from where it's actually at. You can choose to start watching from the beginning, or you can choose to just rewind a certain section. So if something really cool happens, you weren't expecting it, and you want to see it again, you can just rewind back a little bit and rewatch it just as you would with a DVR or something. So those are both two new things that Facebook's got coming out very, very soon to everyone.
I think it's like a lot of, we often got the question, especially at NAB, of sitting at the booth, there's like, oh, can I stream two places at once? And like,
we actually have that question in the comments in the comments right now.
Well, hey, speaking of the comments, if you do have a question or a comment, you just want to say hi, tell us where you're from, do that in the comments right now. Just let us know where you're watching from. And while you're at it, just open up a new tab and go ahead and share this video out so that we're not all just watching it alone. We can watch with some more people. But no, the point was this. If you want to get your video watched at multiple platforms, everybody's like, can I stream to YouTube and Facebook at the same time? I think it's really smart for Facebook to realize that there are multiple audiences within Facebook, and some people have multiple pages that affect like what they're doing. I know Clearwater Aquarium is one of our like power users. They have a page for their aquarium, and then they have a page for like two of the specific animals at the aquarium. Yeah. So they've got 3 total pages. The pages for the animals have like millions of views, and then their aquarium page is like 500,000, something like that. So reaching those different audiences within Facebook is like the real value I see in that. It's like you're not really multicasting to different RTMP locations, but you're reaching different audiences still. I think that's what this really comes down to, is if you're able to cross-post to multiple audiences, you're kind of accomplishing the same goal as with using something like Grabio or doing those, what's the other services that let you stream to multiple RTMP?
Restream, Switchboard.
Yeah, and those can be really complicated. They're valuable still, but like just being able to do this, I think is like the real point of this is reaching more audiences that you're,
right. Yeah, and you're just streaming once, as always. So it's not any extra bandwidth or anything. You send the video one time, and then the same video appears on all these pages that you're cross-posting to. So far, I think the only real requirement is that you have to be an administrator of those pages.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's just great. So.
Yeah, so if you all are interested in doing something like this cross-posting, I did share it in the comments an article I put together about how to set that up, and it's a really good, easy way to get started. Yeah, so yeah, we're getting all sorts of awesome comments in here, people saying where they're from. One person in particular we have to give a special shout out to. Tim Flanagan, the video guy, says he's from the birthplace of country music, Bristol, Tennessee. And Tim, happy birthday.
Yeah,
happy birthday, Tim. Tim's one of our longtime subscribers and longtime viewers of the show. So, and today's his birthday, or at least Facebook tells me so. So, so yeah, everybody wish Tim a happy birthday. But yeah, I see people from all over North Texas, Jose, Constantine's in Romania. I think I saw Morocco in here.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, I see Mark Galwith says,
Hey,
woohoo,
Mark.
cross-posting. Mark, you just missed it. We just talked about F8 and gave you a shout-out.
That's right.
So, yeah, Mark, if you have some extra comments on F8, yeah, feel free to throw them into the comments.
And all our friends watching from all over the world, please share the video. The more people we can get to see this from more places, we're really excited to
Memphis, Tennessee.
to see you all in here. Thanks for joining the
Costa
the stream.
Риca, Louisville, Kentucky.
Ooh.
You know?
Oh, wow.
What's that?
I'm just assuming some people are watching from here. But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, seeing where everyone's from.
Well, Dan, not to interrupt you, but I mean, I'm actually going to tee it up for you. You talked to Nick earlier today about some issues with Facebook that happened recently, and I guess we wanted to address it. So, can you tell us what you were?
Yeah,
what's this all
sure.
about? What's
I
this
can.
business?
Yeah, let me tee this one up for everybody. So, if you've been around, or if you maybe tried to put a stream out this weekend, I think it started on Saturday and ended sometime on Sunday. Yeah, the Facebook API just it was down and wasn't working. So we had a lot of we're kind of trying to be on the forefront and let people know and how to fix things. But we had Nick. He couldn't be here today on the show, but he just wanted to give everybody a little bit of an update on what happened there and what we're doing to better communicate those issues in the future. So here's a quick, about a 2-minute video from Nick.
Nick here, CEO and co-founder of Switcher Studio. As many of you know, there was an interruption in service from 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this Saturday that wasn't resolved until Sunday. When streaming to Facebook, users were getting a broadcast error or connection closed by server. We received communication from Facebook that this issue was resolved around 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday. We started logging reports of this error. We got a phone call from our friends at Clearwater Aquarium, saw messages in the user group, support tickets. We were able to also test and confirm these issues. It was not isolated to creating events through Switcher. RTMP streaming was also having problems. After doing tests and getting information from some of our users, we filed the first bug report with Facebook on this particular issue that was confirmed by other developers. And monitoring social, also saw Mevo, Sling Studio, Wirecast, OBS, other live encoders and streaming solutions having issues when sending video to Facebook as well. This issue was isolated to Facebook. We did have customers that were able to go live on YouTube and share links to those videos on Facebook. I have a meeting with our friends at Facebook tomorrow, so hoping to drill down on this some more and get more clarity on what happened and what actually caused this problem. But moving forward, we are going to be rolling out a status page for Switcher. So this is a place that you can go to get notifications via email or text messages when there are interruptions in service. And that could be through the app, the API, the dashboard. If there's any bugs that slip through on a production release, will be a really great resource to get information on those and see updates on the status of those types of issues when they occur. We will also be improving our in-app error messages. So if there is a problem and it's related to your internet service provider or streaming provider, we'll want to make it more clear what's happening in those different scenarios. So thanks again for using Switcher. As always, if you have questions, concerns, let us know. check out the status page, get in the user group if you're not there already. Both really great resources to help you with your live video. So guys, I'll let you take it from here.
So yeah, that was just a quick couple words from Nick. And yeah, like we said, the moral of the story is we're here to help you all make the video the best way. And if something goes down, we want to give you some alternatives, or at least give you as much information as we can. So Ernesto, would you mind talking about the status page?
Sure,
Because you kind of put that up really quickly. Yeah. And while he's talking about that, I'll go ahead and put a link down in the comments. Mm-hmm. If you want to subscribe and get those updates.
Sure, yeah. So now moving forward, any interruption in service that happens, whether it's us or third parties, we'll relay that information through the status page. So that's status.switcherstudio.com. So you can always go there to see what's going on. If you're having trouble streaming or using the app or logging into the dashboard, logging into the app in general, or any service interruption, visit that page first to see if there's some kind of outage. You can also subscribe. You can have notifications via email or text sent to you anytime that we update that page. So if you want to know right away when something might be down, subscribe, and then you'll get those notifications.
Yeah, no surprises there. If you have like a mission critical stream, I think it's important to just go ahead and sign up for notifications, and they're only going to come out if there's some sort of outage that's going to be like majorly affecting everybody. And I think it's a great thing. Good job, man. Like, solid. I think that's a great resource for anybody who's streaming. You can always go to the user group and say, is anybody else having issues? And maybe there's some short problems, but if you want to know if across the board there's an outage, definitely make sure to visit make sure you visit status.switcherstudio.com. Go ahead and put it in your favorites, bookmark it so that you can just go back and check it if you need to.
So yeah, I know we have one more piece of industry news to get to, but before we get to that really quick, I'm seeing a lot of comments coming through of people maybe asking for some feature requests or how to do certain things in Switcher Studio. And we do want to help you with all of those, and actually that is why Angela and I we will be doing a webinar later today in our user group, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the show. So if you are interested in learning more or need some extra help, you can join the user group, which Angela will give you all sorts of information about. And yeah, you can ask any questions and learn how to use Switcher for the first time. So yeah, last piece of industry news.
Yeah, so this one is about the iPhone SE 2. So we've been advertising the original iPhone SE a lot. You know, it's a really good phone that's, you know, not very expensive at this point and works really well for Switcher Studio. But they were planning on releasing a second version very soon. Word has come out that that has been delayed until most likely September, when they do most of their new phone releases. And the reason for this is they haven't officially picked the design. There's about 3 different designs that they're playing around with right now, and they want to make sure they pick the best one for the phone before they lock it in and start producing all of the SEs. So right now they're expecting that to come out in September. Also in September they're going to put out a second version of the iPhone 10, and they're also going to release a bigger version for the iPhone 10 Plus. So those are looking like the big rotation of the 3 coming out this year. What's been confirmed so far though is the iPhone SE 2 is going to have the Face ID feature that's on the newer phones already. So you are going to have that with the SE 2. For right now, nothing is officially set in stone, so definitely keep an eye out for what Apple is saying. We'll keep you guys updated as well. But I'm definitely excited to see what that SE2 is going to look like, and definitely it's going to give some more variety to what comes out this fall.
It looks like it has one thing said it has the notch that's at the top of the X, and there's a lot of like Samsung and like Android phones that have that notch at the top as well. But do you guys care about the notch? Does the notch bother you? Does anybody have an opinion about the notch? It's kind of it can be a hot button issue. The little and the notch, it's like the cutout at the top of the phone where there's not a screen, but there's screen on either side.
So I think it makes things more difficult for developers, right? Because now you have to work around the notch. It's weird when you're watching video, so you have this extra space that you can't really use. So you either have to extend the video up behind the notch, and miss part of your video, or just shrink the video so that it's, you know, past the notch.
I think it's going to have to change the form factor of the screen a little bit. I mean, that's what it does with the X. The X's screen, like especially if you do like a screen recording, it's super long.
Right. It's wider than 16:9 because you know you want to be able to still watch your video and then have room for the notch. You know, so
it doesn't seem to affect. I don't think it's going to affect like Switcher really from a user design standpoint, but it's just kind of a consideration overall with those phones is there's this like extra space. You know, like,
so I think in the future what's going to happen is that that notch is going to disappear and those components are going to be behind the screen. So I know it's crazy to think about, but right. But I really truly believe that they'll be able to find a way to put the camera and maybe the fingerprint sensor behind the screen, and then there'll just be a flat screen all the way across.
Man,
yeah.
The future is real.
Right.
Well, all right. I guess we're going to move on to our next segment in the show, right, Dan?
I think that is exactly what we're going to do.
I think I'm the person who's going to talk about it. But before I do that, I want to say hello to all of our YouTube watchers right now because even though we're going live to Facebook right now, we are going to be posting these to YouTube after the fact. And you'll find out momentarily why I'm talking to you specifically, because it's part of our live video strategy component. This week we're going to talk to you about maximizing your replay views. And we have a blog post that's going to go along with some of the information I'm going to be talking about today. And quickly I'll tell you about the blog. If you go to switcherstudio.com/blog, you can see all sorts of great information written out about things like industry news and important news, that is, tips and tricks for live video strategy, user stories about how different people are using Switcher Studio. So I would encourage you, after you watch this, please go directly, or right now, open up a new tab and just listen to me talk about it, because I think it's published right now. This exact
I just checked, and yes, it is
that
indeed.
I'm talking about. So hey, you can listen to me basically narrate to you what the blog is about if you like.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and share that in the comments.
Hey, there it is. So please go check that out too if you'd like to read along. But I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about maximizing replay views. So here's the story. Basically, you know, live video is great, but when it comes down to it, most views that you get on your videos, just from that one metric alone, views, it comes from replaying that live video. So what we're going to need to do is start thinking about right now we're live, but we're also being aware that this video is going to be viewed well after the fact, well after when we're live. So just for example, 1/3 of the views for a lot of our videos happen live. So about 1/3, and this is over like a week period is what I'm talking about. So 1/3 of the views, total views over the course of a week, end up being people watching real time live. And then about 2/3 of the total views over a week are actually replay views. So just alone you can see we're tripling the number of viewers over the course of a week, and more than half of those, 2/3 of the views, are in replay views. So it's really important to remember that it's not just important to be talking to our live audience. I love you all very much, but we're also to be talking to the people who aren't able to watch us live on the spot too. So that's really what this comes down to. Like, so for example, there was we talk about this story often. Convoy of Hope did a live video, and it was produced by Bilby Films and Joel Banta. And in their live video, this is a really big one, 800,000 real-time viewers, 800,000. When they, through replay videos, they were able to reach 4 million views. Wow. I mean, to date, it's somewhere hovering around 4 million. So that's actually 5 times more views from replays. So, that alone, this is why this is important. I mean, this is really what it comes down to is, why do we need to be paying attention to replay views? And you're getting most of your views from replays. You're not actually getting them from live. But the live component is still very important. Okay, and basically what I want to do is give you a couple tips, and the blog post outlines these as well, with how you can maximize the impact of these live views. So one of the first things is you want to start the show immediately having replays in mind. When I started this segment, I said, hi, YouTube, because you want to remember that people who are watching that after the fact, they really want you to get the show kicked off and started immediately. So once you start the show, just start going for all those replay viewers, making sure that they're going to be engaged in the content. So that's just one easy tip. Another thing you should be doing is uploading your video to these other platforms, like YouTube. So we're not live on YouTube right now, so we're going to take our video and we're going to put it up there later on so that that audience can also see it. We don't do this very much, but you could very easily do this. You could take segments of your video and you could recut them into smaller portions. I think Switcher Studio has the director mode feature, which allows you to record remote cameras. So if you have director mode enabled while you're doing a Switcher broadcast, you can have the high quality footage up to 4K right now with the most recent update. And you can also have all of those assets that you were using. So if you wanted to recut some of the content that you put together, you could use director mode to really make a really high quality version of your production that you couldn't really stream out because streaming requires like slightly lower resolutions in some cases. And maybe one of the last tips is like link to your blog, link to different things that you're already that you also have. Like the video itself isn't the only important component. We'd like you to go visit our blog, for example, because we feel like that has really important information for people. So if we can send you there as well, that might be another way to get you to subscribe to some of the information we're going to share. We'd really like you to subscribe to like our status page. That way, whenever there is an outage, it really helps make sure that we're helping people get what they need and we're avoiding any confusion and chaos. So send people all of the different places that you have. So it's not just about the live video. You know, your live video is a way to send people to all sorts of different locations. That's really what it comes down to.
Use your videos as a way to have calls to action, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Calls to action was our big point last week on the show.
Yeah, and you can read that in our blog. All right, I'm done. I'm done being on the soapbox about it. But, yeah.
Yeah, so one of the things Jimmy said there was start immediately, and that's something we like to, push in here too, because if you just start a live broadcast, let's say you're going live at 2 and you started at like 1:50 and you have broadcast will begin soon or something like that up, that replay is going to have that full 10 minutes there and it's not going to look great. So that's why we usually put that intro video up, so where it's like going live in 30 seconds, or you could even make one that says going live in 5 minutes or something, just so those people know, okay, they're going to be live in this amount of time, instead of just being like, well, are they going to be live in 5 seconds? Are they going to be live soon? What is soon? Is that 10 minutes?
It helps people fast forward through the fluff and know where the next part is. So yeah, just try to keep in mind that a lot of your view count is going to come from replays. So just try to shape your content in that way when you're doing it live.
Yeah, so that's a great bit. The blog post is out there. So yeah, make sure to check that out for some more information.
Please do.
I think we'll give Jimmy a break from talking. We actually have 2 great user group questions. So instead of just putting Jimmy on the spot and going again and talking about another section,
all right, we're gonna go.
We've got 2 of them, so go a little off script and let Ernesto actually put together some really good information about keeping, because this was a question someone had being in Texas and having their devices overheating, which is a big deal and can happen. So Ernesto put together some tips that some of these are from the user group, some of these are just from our knowledge and everything. But yeah, we'll let Ernesto get into it and talk about keeping devices cool in the summer heat.
Yeah, so shout out to the user group for jumping in and putting in some great suggestions on this topic. So, when you're out in the field, it's possible, it's conceivable you might have, you might be in a really hot room or outdoors, with the sun shining directly on your devices, and they can overheat. So, iOS devices, or really any electronic device, can either shut down due to being way too hot, or it does it as a kind of a safety mechanism so that the device doesn't catch on fire or it doesn't harm the components of the device. So, and iOS devices do this as well. So one of the things, there's a couple of things that cause overheating apart from just having it out in the sun. So, high workload from apps. So if your app is doing a lot of work or using the processor or the graphics or the GPU a lot, that can cause heat. Turning up the brightness on your phone to the maximum setting causes heat. I mean, you can even feel the heat from the screen sometimes when you turn it up really bright. charging the battery. So whenever you plug the phone in to charge it, that resistance, especially as the battery gets close to full, it builds up, and that actually causes heat as well. So keeping it in closed or unventilated areas, that the heat gets trapped, and then the device just keeps getting hotter and hotter. And in some cases, if you put your device inside of an enclosure in a case, that might make it worse, especially if it's a material that's not designed to actually transmit heat, So all those things can contribute to that. But when you start combining all of that together, plus direct sunlight on a hot day in Texas, you can really run into problems. So so there's a couple things you can try to do to try to mitigate that some. So one thing, one of the first things is if you don't have to plug in your device to power, then don't. You can actually save a lot of energy and heat by just using the battery. So if your production is less than 30 minutes long, even the smaller iOS devices will typically last a good 50 to 60 minutes on the battery when you're using Switcher or a video app. So if you just charge your devices to 100% first, and then that your production is short, then maybe don't plug it in. That'll save a little bit on heat. The other thing is turn the brightness down all the way. After you've lined up your shot and that your angle is good on those devices, you don't need the brightness all the way up anymore. You don't need to see it anymore on that device, because you can preview the video in Switcher right on the main switching device. So turn the brightness all the way down. That's going to reduce the heat. One of some of the users from our user group suggested installing a parasol or umbrella, basically, over top of the device, right? And it's actually not a bad suggestion. I really like it.
Dan, did we bring the little tiny drink umbrellas?
I am so sorry. I have a bunch of those little drink umbrellas I was going to bring in for this, and I totally didn't.
Man. All right, well, we can't demonstrate for you all today, but. Right. Get a parasol.
Right.
I even saw one person was recommending get some thermal paste and install a heat sink on the back, which I guess in theory is gonna work.
If you don't mind maybe voiding your warranty, and I think that could work.
Your phone's not gonna fit in your pocket anymore.
It's definitely not fit in your pocket.
Like a dinosaur heat sink off the back of it.
Yeah. Get some thermal paste, put it on the back, put a nice heat sink on it.
Is there any other good tips? I know that's something I've done a lot. Even if you have sometimes you might have a charge cable or something that isn't as good or isn't giving as much power. So you might see that not charging up at the top and your device is slowly going down, and just doing something as simple as decreasing the screen brightness. I was amazed at how much of a difference that made.
The screen is probably the highest power draw on your device, even above the processor or GPU or anything else. The screen is what uses the most power. So if you turn it all the way down, you're going to really reduce the total power draw.
Your screen is basically a flashlight. It has a flashlight built into it that illuminates the pixels. So whenever you're looking at it, part of it is just LEDs that are constantly on. So if your screen's on, it is flashlights basically. So that's going to use a lot of power for sure. That's awesome. That's great information. I know, I'm glad you said video apps, because it's not just Switcher. Anytime you're using video with a device, it's not using it the way as it initially meant, designed to be used. So it's going to be drawing power and using it to its maximum potential, and that makes it hot. So.
Games, anything that's intense on the CPU, right?
So, just also remember, in a survival situation, if you're freezing to death, just launch up a bunch of apps on your phone and you'll be good to go, right?
Freezing to death, go live.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's some great information.
Yeah.
And, of course, that question did come from our user group. So before we get into our second bit there, Angela, would you like to maybe talk a little bit about the user group and how some of these people, because we are getting a lot more good questions about Switcher very specifically, and we want to answer all those, and we answer those in our webinar that we do every week, which is definitely something I tune into, and you're going to have to be a part of the group to be able to do that. So, Angela, why don't you let everybody know how they can join that and a little information about the group?
Yeah, so it's just an online community that we have on Facebook. We're about 1.5 years in. We're close to 3,000 members at this point. But, you know, it's just a great group to ask different questions. Not only are we in the group, but everyone else is really helpful and able to help. You can also get tips and tricks on different things to do with Switcher Studio, and you can share your Switcher Studio videos and get, you know, that constructive feedback and things like that. So there's a few ways to join the group. The first way, if you're watching this on our Facebook page right now, just click on where it says groups on the menu on the left-hand side, and it'll take you directly to the enthusiast page. You can also search Switcher Studio Enthusiasts, and if you're already a Switcher Studio user, just log into your account at switcherstudio.com, and there's an option to join the community. So regardless of which way you do this, there's going to be a short survey to fill out, which just tells us more about how you're using Switcher and how we can make it even better for you, and then you'll have full access to the group. And the last two sections we have on Stream Squad each week come directly from the group. We've got the user group questions, which is what we're doing right now, and then we have our hashtag Made with Switcher, where we show, you know, one great example of someone using Switcher Studio that we've seen from the past week. And as Dan's mentioned, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, Dan and I both go on and do a live webinar in the group, just showing you how to get started, how to use Switcher. It's great if you're thinking about using Switcher, if you're just starting out in a trial, or even if you've been with us for a while and just want to see what's new. It's also good just to tune in and see if anything's different.
Yeah, so hop in there if you aren't. I see, like I said, there's a lot of people asking some really good questions here, and yeah, we would love to answer all those in there. Like I see some people asking about simulcasting. I think we mentioned that a little bit earlier about the switchboard and Restream, and even the cross-posting.
Yeah,
so
cross-posting's the new way.
Yeah, the new way.
Right.
And not to mention that if you missed that section in our industry news, you can actually rewind this video right now and go back and watch that part. And we do touch a lot on that. So one other piece of
let's go over this last
group.
user group question just briefly, and we're dragging on a little bit today maybe, but so the question I believe came out was how do you get blurred background for your live videos? And without getting too over the top and technical, blurred background is probably just like the lay term for something that's known as depth of field. A depth of field is basically like how much of an image that you're looking at is in focus. So Dan, I don't know if is your hand on the screen right now?
No, it's not.
Okay.
I'm just getting ready for you.
He's queuing it up. Get ready for Dan's hand, everybody. So depth of field is how deep is how much of the image that you're looking at is actually in focus, and it has to do with optics. And there's like a whole like physics and light lesson we could go through, but that's not what we're here to do.
Focal points.
Yeah, focal points. But depth of field, there's shallow depth of field is the term that people use. And if you have a shallow depth of field, that means only a very narrow area of what you're looking at is in focus. And it's basically from what's close to the camera to what's behind. And so what Dan is hopefully going to demonstrate right now
you can see,
is some of this phenomenon. Right the newer iPhones, I'll tell you this right now, the newer iPhones have much larger apertures. I think one of them has an aperture of 1.2 and one of them has an aperture of like 1.4. And aperture, if you're interested in learning more about this, is search aperture and depth of field, and you'll learn that a larger aperture enables you to have a shallower depth of field, which ultimately, if you get the focus right on something, will let you have a blurred out background for something. But that background blur is going to be determined based on how close you are to a device. So right now, there's a device that's, this camera is probably, I don't know, what would you say, 6 feet away from me? So 6 feet away from me right now, and the background is pretty close to me. If I want a blurred out background, the best way to do this actually is to get as close to the device or the sensor as I can while maintaining focus, and then having the background be as far away as possible. So Dan hopefully is illustrating that right now. He's going to get his hand, which is about 10 inches from the camera, and so he can get that in focus. And because of the aperture size and some other different factors, the background should be out of focus. So if you really want a shallow depth of field, you should try to get as close to your device as you can. Other than
you can
that,
really see it here. Jimmy and you guys back there are pretty blurred out, and my hand is really in focus. So it gives it that. We also have heard people call it the DSLR effect when you're using like a kit lens on there. So
another thing, it's known as compression is the other term. With Switcher, you actually do. I mean, you have the ability to use DSLR lenses if you have the right mount. You just have to go into some settings and invert the image just because of the way that they collect light and transmit it onto the sensor. But I'd be interested if anybody has any comments or ways that they've been able to accomplish depth of field. I'm just trying to give you the easiest way to get this blurred background and shallow depth of field. You want to get as close to the device as you can and get the background further away from you. That's just the easiest way, just out of the gate, to do it. For us, we can't really do that because we've got a little bit of a larger set, and we just like to kind of spread it out some more. But if you have a way that you've done this, please share it in the comments right now, or go over to the user group and look for this and share the ways that you've been able to accomplish this, because we're interested to see how you can do that. iOS video it's changing with every device that they come out with. There's different ways that you can use it. There's different lenses that you can attach. So if you do have some information on that, we'd love to hear it, and we'll help share it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's our user group questions right there, and some really great ones, and ones that we like to help out with. And as always, if you do have those more questions, feel free to hop into that user group and ask them there. People will be happy to help you out, and we'll do that as well here. I'll just answer one really quick. Just Kenneth, I saw he said he was on trial and was asking if this is available on Android, and unfortunately we're just iOS right now, so just iPhones, iPads, iPod Touches, and then of course you can bring computer screens in as well, as you've seen us do a couple times here. That's actually was another question here in the comments, was someone asking what devices we're using. And we're using all sorts of different iPhones and iPads. We have an iPhone 6, an iPhone 7, and an iPhone 6s Plus or something, a couple iPads, and 2 MacBook Pros. So those are user group questions, and as Angela said, we always like to take one example and talk about that at the end, right?
Yeah, so this week we've got a video from Adventure Dock. So this is an obstacle course park over in Liverpool. They've got a bunch of, bouncy obstacles. It's really fun, and this just shows, a great example of what you can do with Switcher just to show off your business. So a lot of people have the more, intricate events set up or a bunch of interviews laid out, and this is a really casually made video where the owner walks through. He shows footage of people actually playing in the Adventure Dock with their families. He talks to a couple of those. He brings in one of his employees who just happens to be there, and he's like, hey, what do you like about our park? And then he shows some slow-mo videos that he's done as B-roll towards the end. So overall, it was about a 30-minute video from about 2 weeks ago. As of earlier today, it's gotten a little over 1,000 views. I think it's at 1.3 thousand views at this point. But there's a lot of people in the comments who were saying, this looks really cool, I want to come check it out. So it's something that didn't take as much setup. It's a one-camera production with some footage. But by doing that, they've potentially increased their revenue just by showing off the company.
Yeah, it looks really good. And you can kind of tell, there's like one moment there, there's a reflection in the window. I'm pretty sure they're using an Osmo Mobile. It is super smooth footage. So Osmo Mobile with the image stabilization feature in Switcher. If you just have those two things combined, that's all. It's just easy production value. Just check, right there. But I thought that was great about it. And the pre-recorded videos, they're just basically taking that content that they already have that's related to what they're doing, and you can just throw it in there with a pre-recorded video and just intersperse it at different places. I think they used 3 different pre-recorded videos at the beginning, right before the sign-off, that kind of gave like a call to action for what to do, and then at the very end they had one more. And there's like 2 graphics total, 2 or 3. They had the names of the people there, and they just had the website where you can go sign up to use it. So I thought it was a great job. So good work to you all. And you said it was like a, what kind of park did you call it? They were calling them aqua parks. It's like it's an obstacle course on the water. It's just crazy. So
it's a pretty cool thing. Yeah. it was one of those things I think where it just happened in there organically, where as they're walking over and first showing it, there's a guy getting ready to take the leap or take a jump, is what they call it. Like jumps off the top.
And then he's just like, perfect timing. I can't believe we were here right now.
I'm going to consider getting one of those for like my next birthday instead of a bouncy castle.
Next birthday, yeah.
Get an aqua castle.
Yeah, get an aqua castle. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's shared out there in the comments now if y'all want to check out that video. Like I said, I think it's a really good example of just a one camera, really well produced piece.
Great.
So props to them for making an awesome video.
Great.
Well,
I do think I think we're actually overtime here a little bit.
yeah, who's counting?
Who's counting? We're having fun, right? Well, we do want to say thank you everybody for checking this out or checking this video out and sharing it out and liking it. As always, you can tune in next week for more information here. If you have those questions, if we didn't get to them, please keep commenting and we will answer everything we can. And like I said, we will be doing the webinar at 4 p.m. in the user group. That's a great place to come get all the information you could ever need about Switcher Studio, because Angela and I will help you set it up for the first time. And then if you have more questions or if you just want to know something more about Switcher, we'd be happy to answer it then as well. Yeah. And yeah, welcome Ernesto.
It's good to be here.
Yeah, happy to have Ernesto on full time here. But that's going to do it for us here today. That's all of the time. So yeah, Thank you so much for tuning in. You can check us out at switcherstudio.com. Check out that blog for more live video tips, switcherstudio.com/blog. We talked about the status.switcherstudio.com if you need to get updates for what's going on. And yeah, check out the user group as well. It's a great place to get to know other Switcher Studio users.
Thank you all very much. Have a good one.
Guys.
Take care, everyone.
Until next time.